The Common Council meeting for September 8, 2015. Please stand for invocation. Bobby's not here, so Nathan, if you so lead us, please.
Sure, let's pray. Father, we're thankful for the opportunity to be here tonight. Our hearts are heavy because of the news of our friend Ted Throckmorton. We pray that you be with his family and friends during this difficult time. Thank you for his life and what he's done for this city. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to do business for the city. We pray that we conduct ourselves appropriately. We pray for the activities that we have going on, for the different developments and the programs that we're talking about earlier tonight. We pray that you'd be with the children in our community, help them to grow up healthy and safe and to stay here and find jobs in southern Indiana. In Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilperson Smith. Councilperson Zastavny.
Present.
Councilperson Wadsworth.
Present.
Councilperson Webb.
Present.
Council President Gill.
Present.
Councilperson Julius.
Here.
Councilperson Samuel.
Here.
Let the record reflect that Councilperson Sellers and Councilperson Owen are absent.
Yes, and Councilperson Sellers, as you all know, is out of town, and Councilperson Owen is unavoidably being detained.
By the police or?
To get arrested?
No, he has another obligation that is.
Just checking.
Just wanted everybody to let us know that he did let us know he wasn't going to be here. So I got minutes to be approved, and let's start with the minutes from our regular council proceeding of August 17, 2017.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are approved. And we got the minutes from our budget hearing for, let's do August 24th, 2015.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are approved. We got the budget hearing minutes for August 26, 2015.
Approve?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are approved. And the last set of minutes from our budget hearing of August 27, 2015.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are approved. Got the approval of the agenda, and we do need to add, and we're going to add them first under new business, that interlocal agreement between Clarksville and City of Jeff.
And based on the meeting, the special meeting we had prior to the meeting, I'd like to remove items 1 and items 2 under unfinished business.
Okay.
Second. For that.
Okay, I got a motion and a second with the amendment to the agenda. So do I have any further questions or comments?
You mean by remove means it'll be taken off all future
Taken off.
agendas versus week after week, or, okay.
I mean, based on the meeting, there's no hurry at all in this process.
Okay, I want to make sure that's what I know what it was.
Okay, so seeing nothing further, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Agenda is approved. Thank you, approved.
Requesting approval of claims totaling $1,061,770.86.
Amy, somebody jump in?
Yeah, well, Amy, I was going to ask, are all these claims that meet our ordinances? Meaning, all of them are signed, all of them have the right backup to them?
As far as I know, yes.
And then if you would just make
As
sure
far-
that the ad is
As far as
attached.
you know, okay. How can we assure, do you have staff members that go through those?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can we make sure, Amy, under the promotion of the fund and the mayor's, that the ad is attached to that? claim, please. It's a $500 claim, so I want to make sure that that ad is attached to that
Yes.
and verify that.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion or comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Report of the clerk.
Two things. First of all, I got a letter today, or an email from Senator Grooms on a different situation. There had been some conversation with him, and I guess some constituents were worried or talked about 62 in Utica-Sellersburg Road, about it needing to be mowed, that evidently it's very overgrown. And Senator Grooms has been working with NDOT himself to get this taken care of. And from what I understand, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, they'll start mowing that area. So. And the other thing is, a gentleman came in today. He went to the mayor's office, but there was nobody up there at that time. So he came to my office, and I'm going to scan these in and email them to you all. But there is an app that can be downloaded. It's called the Lifesaver app. It doesn't cost anything. It basically will turn their cell phones off. You won't be able to, or not turn them off, but there will be no texting when the car is moving. In order for somebody to text, they'll have to pull over. And he's from Lexington, Kentucky, retired General Motors Corporation. A young lady was killed texting while driving, and it became one of his big desires in life to get this stopped, texting and driving. And the lady that he works with is wheelchair bound, and she has MS, and she came up with these apps herself. So they also are saying these are very good for public employees, other than police, but for the other drivers to have these installed to cut down on insurance claims. And the other app that he showed me, and I will send this out and pass it around to you, is also called the Lifesaver app, which is an app that you can download. You can put all your medical history and medication on it. If somebody would happen that you were in a wreck or fell very sick and your family didn't know, that app could be accessed by emergency room, EMT, and or the EMTs, and it would know your medical history. So I told him I'd bring that up to y'all.
That's good information. Do you have any, can you put that, I guess you can't put that on our Facebook?
Yes, I checked
Can
with
you?
him. He said any way we can get that information out would be great.
Oh, that'd be awesome if you
So
could
we
put that
can
on
put
the
it on
council's
Facebook.
Facebook page.
So anyway, that's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, so we will go to, okay, 1 and 2 is removed. We got number 3, we got Mr. Julius, the guidelines and principles for consideration of property tax.
All right, this is the third time that we've presented this. Hopefully, everybody's had enough time to look over it, read it, ask questions. Last meeting, I had Matt Hall from One Southern Indiana come in and, just kind of go through the highlights of it that we worked on and show you the benefits of this new tax abatement system. We've got quite a few hours in this, but really what we're trying to do is make it a little more fair for companies that are bringing more to the city. Right now, it doesn't really matter if somebody's bringing one job or 500, we're giving them the same tax abatement. So what we did is we came up with kind of a sliding scale, if you will, that would answer all of the questions that you would have, but it really benefits the companies for the amount of wages that they're paying, the benefits that they're paying, whether they're using an existing facility or building a new one, what kind of capital outlay they have, and it's scaled down from $1 million to $10 million or more
whether they're retaining jobs. It's really pretty comprehensive, but I think it's something that we could use in the city. As we all know, in the state of Indiana, it's getting more competitive for new and existing businesses to compete, and this is a tool in our toolbox. The other thing that it has in here on the first page is kind of an out. If it's somebody that we want to give more to or less to, we have the ability to do that. So I just feel like it's a tool in the toolbox that we could start to use. And what we would do is let One Southern Indiana know, because they're actually the agency that is front line on all the businesses. So it gives them a tool before they come to us looking for a tax abatement. It says, this is what you qualify in the city of Jeff. So it's all laid out. It's nothing we have to do. There's no guesswork. It goes to them. Now, having that out in this, if Matt comes to us or One Southern Indiana comes to us and says, this company's bringing a lot to the table and they're going to score low, but you know, I really think it'll be beneficial, it's something we can look at to give them more of an abatement. So anyway, I'd like to move it forward if we could.
Did we pass this on, I thought we just passed on the first reading, did we pass it?
We discussed it. We had to.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't remember.
Motion for the intent to pass the subject to the board.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Well, what I would like to do is be able to send it to Scott to have ready for next meeting to vote.
Yeah, I'm looking at that, just to look at some other entities, some of this, but if you can send me something like an editable word format, so I don't have to.
Sure.
Some of that.
You don't want to retype the whole thing?
But you can email it. And
We can do that.
take it to the board and move forward, I think.
Is that your motion to move?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay, I got a motion and a second to move forward with it and send it to Scott. Any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none.
Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Excuse me just a second. Did you send this to me in a Word document?
I thought I did.
I'll try forward.
If it's not, let me know and
Yeah.
because I've got it in a Word document.
Yes. Yeah, it's in Word document. I'll send it to you.
So, Mr. Lewis, you're up on the Ohio River Greenway Monuments and Memorial Policy.
Yes, this was passed out just for your review. There's no action taken for this. This is something that has been brought up in the past regarding the Ohio River Greenway Development Commission. Basically, they require these agreements with the local entities along the greenway, such as New Albany and Clarksville. And I believe New Albany and Clarksville has already passed what they call their permanent memorials, monuments, and public art policy. One thing that we were the last one who have not passed it yet, because going back to discussions of last year, we were concerned that their kind of like boilerplate blanket policy kind of defers all of these public art regarding memorials, monuments, and art within the Greenway. It kind of gave blanket approval to the Ohio River Greenway Development Commission. I know I've spoken with Nathan. We were concerned about kind of giving blanket approval. So in discussions that were kind of drug out, we asked to insert a clause just for our policy or our agreement with the Ohio River Commission. Basically, it's paragraph 3. I kind of highlighted this at our last meeting. Basically, paragraph 3 was a paragraph which we kind of negotiated and they agreed to include in the policy. How Jeffersonville will support and participate in unified signage plan with trailhead markers and other place making design elements of the Greenway. However, Jeffersonville will not give blanket authority to the Greenway Commission on the planning, design, construction, or placement of public art, monuments, and/or other projects within the city's portion of the Greenway. However, the Greenway Commission will be included as a stakeholder in all conversations regarding the same. The Jeffersonville Public Arts Commission shall be the entity to participate in the discussions with the Greenway Commission concerning public art, monuments, and memorials within the city's portion of the Greenway, and the Jeffersonville Public Arts Commission shall be the entity to grant final approval for any public art, monuments, and memorials within the city's portion of the Greenway. So it's a little wordy, but in essence, that was just to give us a little bit more control and review regarding, decisions that are made within our actual jurisdiction of our city. That's basically what this is. But I guess for Ohio River Greenway Development Commission to go forward with all the funding they get from the state, there's a requirement that the local entities pass the policy. So I will say they were amenable to special provisions for Jeffersonville per our request.
I appreciate Scott protecting our interests, because when we first read this, when I first read it, I was like, wait a minute, we were giving away all our rights to an outside group to put what they want down there, and he did a good job with that. Does this need to be a resolution? Or
No, it just needs to be passed. Yeah, we just need to pass the policy. It's not a resolution. The other entities, they just pass it as a policy.
I'll make a motion to pass the policy that's presented to us.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We're referencing the Greenway Commission as a stakeholder in all conversations. Well, I guess first of all, a stakeholder means that they're entitled to participate or to be privy to all conversations. Are these conversations all public conversations, all official conversations? What are we getting at there?
Well, it could be either or. I mean, they have regular board meetings that are public board meetings. But sometimes, they may be a small committee that has meetings that are non-public. So it could be my understanding, a generation of both.
Okay.
Yeah. But generally, this commission, I've never attended their meetings, but I think they have publicly advertised meetings. It's a particular board of various members pursuant to state statute. So I do believe they have public meetings. But then obviously there may be smaller subgroup meetings sometimes that are not public.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I got a motion and a second to pass the policy of the Ohio River Greenway Monuments Memorial Policy.
I got one other question, if I could.
Any further comments or questions?
So sorry. I didn't want you to move on. Didn't want you to go for a vote. And Nathan, this might be to you. The entity for the city that's going to participate in the discussions with the Greenway Commission is Public Arts. Refresh my memory on who sits on that or how that's made up.
Okay, currently the city council appoints all the members on the Public Art Commission. There's currently 5 members. Shane Corbin, he's Director of Planning and Zoning, myself, John, a couple artists, John McCarthy's on there, and Melissa Deaver and Jay Ellis from downtown. Those are currently. And the way I interpret this is if the Greenway is wanting to put something on, they have an idea, we want to put something in Jeff, they have to come to our meeting to get the approval. It's not that we're going to their meetings. They come to us and ask, they present what they want to do, and potentially we could come up with our own thing to put on the Greenway. But that's kind of how this is. Before the way they presented to us originally, if they wanted to put whatever piece of art down there or whatever kind of signage, they could just do it without even asking us. And so that's not the case.
Well, my question, I think you made the point, is in Clarksville, when you go down to around Ashland Park, you see that real large, well-lit, modern sign. Have you seen that down by the, okay. We wouldn't want that sign at Riverside Drive and Walnut. We could have a sign, Greenway sign or some type of sign, but this is huge and it's bright and it's real modern, and I think we could have a sign, but I think it should fit our district versus that. And that's why we would have the final vote on something like that.
And that's another reason why we have Shane Corbin on the committee, on the commission, because he would be able to guide for the sign ordinances for one, but then also from it, we want it to fit what we want it to look like artistically.
Are you familiar with the sign?
In Clarksville? Yes.
That's good.
Okay. So any other further? No. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Matt, do you need to...
Sorry, what was the motion?
The motion is to pass the policy for the Ohio River Greenway Monuments Memorial as presented.
That was what we discussed at the last meeting, Matt.
Right.
Where we put up specifically for your attention would be, I kind of highlighted at the last meeting, paragraph 3 was specifically added to kind of protect Jeffersonville, to give us control over the Greenway territory that's in our jurisdiction regarding signs, public art, monuments, and so forth. Because the default policy was that the Ohio River Greenway Commission could just basically have blanket authorization to do whatever they wanted. That was kind of their blanket policy that New Albany and Clarksville previously approved. And I think Nathan was one of the first ones I spoke with. He wanted some protection to kind of give Jeffersonville control over that. So that's where we added paragraph 3, and the Ohio River Greenway Commission did approve that, allowing us to have a special exception for us.
You know, a point too I want to make, the original Greenway project, I don't know where it ended in New Albany, but it really started at Jeff Boat, and they don't have any skin in that. We built that whole marina bank revitalization project. That's all city dollars anyway, so they should have built that whole project, because that was the actual start or finish of the Greenway. But they didn't, so.
Call the question.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, policy passes. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks.
Next, we have Nathan Samuel, the 2015 OR 47, an ordinance allocating annual edit funds to the Jeffersonville Public Arts Non-Reverting Fund. This did pass in the first reading.
I had sent out all the, based on the responses I got from the council members, we've changed. If you look at numbers 1 at the bottom and the last whereas, last time we had 5%. We talked about having a cap. So the compromise was 4% with no cap. So we changed it to 4%. And then there's one addition I would like to add. Maybe you're pointing this out. There's a typo that says 5.
Yeah.
That has been corrected in the final copy. They will all jive. It'll spell out 4 with the number 4. But then, if you follow me here on the first number 1, under be it resolved, the finance, Amy from finance, she recommended this. I want to add, I want it to read where it reflects where we use the previous year's certified edit funds amount, because she said that way we'll just go ahead and put it in the budget while we're doing budgeting. And so if you look at that last paragraph, it should read that the council hereby establishes a policy that the council shall allocate funding to the Public Arts Committee each calendar budget year in the amount of 4% of the annual collection of the city's previous year's certified edit funds to be deposited into the Public Arts Non-Reverting Fund. I inserted previous year's certified.
Okay.
So with that, I would make a motion to approve 2015 OR 47 on the second and third reading. Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to pass 2015 OR 47 on the second and final reading. Any further questions or comments? As amended. Thank you, Scott. As amended. Thank you.
I do have a question, and it's for Scott. And I think we talked about it a little bit, but where is this, how does this fall with the, I guess, the regulation against committing future funds and future budgets? Like, we talked about the capital improvement plan and how we had a plan to set aside a certain number of dollars every certain year, but it wasn't necessarily in stone because you can't commit future dollars that you haven't taken in. How does this mesh with all that?
I believe it would be considered more of an intent. I believe that obviously each calendar budget year is its own entity from year to year. So I think the way Nathan described it, we wanted to have like an intent of policy to follow. But I believe obviously next year, council chose to follow that.
Right.
In all honesty, because during budget time, they can say they can override that.
Right.
Any council on the calendar budget year.
And my follow-up question is, in 20 years when we're all gone, and the Arts Commission comes to the council, and the council decides they need to cut the edit funds, because that 4% has grown large, or because there's a need somewhere else, will that Arts Commission then have the legal authority to say, no, we are guaranteed by ordinance, that 4%. I mean, is there a legal argument for that?
I don't think so, because I believe, because by statute, budgets are a calendar year decision. So I've had it 20 years, I look back at this ordinance, I don't know what the enforceable by some other committee, by some parts.
So we're going to pass an unenforceable ordinance as a policy?
Policy.
Okay,
Yeah, I believe it sets forth a policy that can change with time.
right.
Council wants to change the policy.
Is there a reason that we did this in an ordinance form and we just did the Greenway as a policy?
You can ask me to prepare the ordinance, to set forth the policy, so it's determined to the board.
Okay.
Ask me to do the ordinance.
That's fine. I just
Policy,
clarifying.
I'm just-
I'm okay with it.
I'm doing what the board
Yeah.
asked me to do. It wasn't my idea, so
Yeah,
I'm just doing my job, preparing what I was asked to prepare.
I understand.
I did have a motion and a second, correct?
Yeah.
So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we move on to new business, which will be the interlocal agreement with Clarksville and Jeff. Sorry about that. I don't know who will
Yeah,
be,
this was something, I don't know, this was something that was emailed to me, I just got it today, I had a phone call from the Clarksville City Attorney, for Councilman Sturgeon. I know nothing of it, I prepared this, he called me and asked me if this was on the agenda, and I said, my agenda is going to be prepared and put out for the meeting, which will probably be Friday.
He asked me if I would ask for it to be amended to be put on the agenda. Like I said, I know nothing of this. I wasn't involved in any discussions, but apparently, briefly, what I know as what was emailed to me, I think we may have a representative here from Clarksville that may want to speak further. But as you can see from this, apparently, the town of Clarksville is constructing a new roadway extending Corn Avenue from Missouri Avenue in the city of Jeff to Werner Avenue in the town of Clarksville. I guess the town of Clarksville, through its redevelopment commission, is going to pay for the construction installation of this roadway, including the portions that are located in the city of Jeff. And I guess they need this interlocal agreement to allow them to do so, to do work in the city of Jeff. And it basically says, following the construction and installation of the extension of Corn Avenue, it says the town of Clarksville will maintain at its expense with its own staff any portions of that extension that lie within the city of Jeff, and that we authorize them to do so. But other than that, I don't know anything else about this project. I was hoping Les would be here to explain it. So I don't know who, you want to speak on this?
Thank you. Yes, I'm Nick Lawrence. I'm the redevelopment director with the town of Clarksville. Been working on this project, which we dubbed generically the Court Avenue Extension Project. Acts as a new gateway for our South Riverfront redevelopment. This project really helps with circulation of traffic and access, both now and in the future with relation to the Bridges project and the planned development that we have for the area. We have the project actually, have awarded a contract on it. We've bonded for the project already. We've acquired the necessary property for the project already. I have a construction crew that's mobilizing in Clarksville right now for this project. Essentially, this agreement is to allow us to perform the necessary construction activities that are required in the city of Jeffersonville, and then basically states that we'll maintain this portion that's in Jeffersonville as provided by this interlocal agreement. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding the construction.
I will say, Nick contacted me, and I contacted Lisa, who else, Connie, and Nathan. We went down and met with Nick, and it's a very small portion that is Jeffersonville, actually. I don't know how many feet it was, but it wasn't very much.
It's not very many. The entire project itself is less than 800 feet. Just a small portion is within Jeffersonville city limits.
Do you have any idea how much that is? How many?
The footage, not off the top of my head. I can get that, but it's a very small portion, just that entryway.
It's virtually the parts, the area that's in front, or that is involved in Jeffersonville is in front of Kai's. And I had called Kai just to make sure she was aware of it, and, since it was coming to Jeffersonville, that Jeffersonville business, that we should make her aware of what's going on.
And it's also my understanding, too, that you've met on several occasions with
Yes.
her, and she has been included in the process.
Yes, yeah, we following our meetings too, we created a phasing plan for the project to minimize the impact to the water tower rear entrance or entrance to Kai's 2.
And Kai's here if she wants to speak. I know, did you sign to speak?
That's what I was just...
The other thing that I want to say on that behalf is, I'm sorry, the other was that the only two things, and I don't want to speak for you, Kai, but was parking and accessibility. Those were the two major concerns that she discussed with me.
Certainly.
Kai did sign up, so I'd like for her to come on up and state your name and your address for the record, and see what you... Thank you.
I'm Kai Hain. I own Kai's, 500 Missouri Avenue in Jeffersonville. All of my building is in Jeffersonville. It's not just a small part, it's all of it.
So, do you feel like your concerns were addressed? Have you been in... 'cause I think out of this project, I know we met with them, I know parking was an issue, and I know that when we met with the Director of Redevelopment, he stated that he's going to work closely with you and try not to block off your entrance and things of that nature.
I guess try is the operative word there. I wasn't even aware of this project till about the 1st of June, and then at that point everything was pretty much decided. My main concern, of course, is accessibility to my business. I can't have 300 people trying to get through the door and construction blocking it. That and signage. Hopefully it's enough of a confusion at this point with the bridge and everything else trying to get people in, and I'm concerned that this is going to even add to that, but we'll deal with it as long as there is appropriate signage and the entrance is never blocked.
Mr. Lawrence, can you address that, please?
Certainly. As part of the specs for the project, there had to be both pedestrian and auto signage routing traffic around and through the property. We have the final phase, which is the fourth phase. There is some work that is required in that the turnaround water tower area. Met with Ms. Hain and asked that she be able to coordinate with us on those activities, with the majority of that work to be taking place on evening hours between after 11 p.m. So that they're overnight. And then the final paving portion obviously is something where that entrance will be impacted, but we hope to coordinate on that when hopefully there's a day that there's nothing planned for those buildings, and we can do a full day of paving.
Do you have any other?
I think that's the issue, hopefully. That's my concern. I can't imagine having, as I said, 300 people trying to get into my building and the entrance blocked and no way to get to it. If that was an event that one of you were having, I'm sure you would be very upset. And that's the thing. I want it absolutely that access to my building is never blocked. I mean, that just cannot happen.
And I think you'll be very mindful of that.
Very much so, very much so. Sent Ms. Hain a letter committing that. The activities are very well spelled out within the specs and the construction documents as well, stating when the access will be limited, that we would be working with her through the project and trying to minimize the complications as much as possible.
The property has become a real cut through because of all the construction. I've got concerns about, it being straight through, the speed, how that's going to be. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things that are a result of this other than just my parking issues. And I don't know that has any relevancy at this point. I guess it's signed, sealed, delivered, but I'm not comfortable with it, obviously.
Well, your concerns are on record, and we do have him on record that he will be very mindful of that, and he did send you a letter, correct? Did you receive
Correct.
that letter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because we don't want to hurt your business, your valuable business that you've
Appreciate
done.
that. 20 years.
Here. The thing is, with the city of Jeff, this is only a few feet that this agreement really, as far as our concern is with this agreement.
It's the agreement, one vote.
What?
Do we
Scott, is it-
take so it's one vote? Then I'd make a motion that we take this under advisement, since this is the first time that many of us have seen it, and maybe do some more due diligence and see that we can't get some more relief for Kai and her concerns.
And I would
I
like
do
to
have
add-
one question for you with respect to the 800 feet, the extension. Which body of governing law would pertain to it? In other words, with respect to that 800 feet, do the Jeffersonville ordinances still apply, or do the Clarksville ordinances still apply? Would the Clarksville ordinances apply to that 800 feet?
As a lawyer, I would say no. I mean, this would only give them the right to do work because they somehow make this road part of the laws and regulations. Yeah, we're not ceding territory. We're not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that your, that's your
That's
understanding?
my
as well?
understanding too. We've
Okay.
Still all the rules and regulations.
we've purchased property in Jeffersonville. We understand it's in
Mm-hmm.
Jeffersonville.
You're not purchasing this, this just says we're giving them the
Right.
right to work
Right.
at your expense.
Right. It's right.
Did you say you got a crew staging as we speak?
We're
now?
mobilized in Clarksville right now. Yes,
And,
mobilized. We have a construction crew that started today, bringing in rock and.
Well, the reason I asked, and I think Ed brought up a good point, I know it's probably only, a few hundred feet at the most, but did our city engineer look at this road and make sure that it would meet our standards?
I don't know, like I said, the only conversation I had was about a 2-minute phone call with this.
You see what I'm saying?
We've submitted everything. Yeah, it's
That was the
since.
first question I asked him, and he said he met with Andy.
Yeah, we met with Andy and submitted
I
everything to
agree
him.
with Matt in that off the top of my head, I understand the project, and I think it's probably a good project, especially for Jeff and Clarksville both. However, I would like to have seen a conversation between you all that stated something like, obviously she has an event, let's just say October 1st, then the contractor, ABC Contracting, would know that there would be no construction or paving on October 1st, or the paving would have to end at noon. And if that doesn't specify in your document, for the contractor, that's probably not a real clear-cut case for them to work around her, I wouldn't think, or her business, I should.
That's my concern, that,
And we've asked for that information as well, that we be able to have. I understand it's a very dynamic business and that things change on a whim, but that we'd like to have as much information as possible to be able to share with our contractor too, so we can accommodate.
how long will this project take you, think,
We
from start to finish?
we have it as a 120-day substantial completion.
How far do you reserve out? I mean,
a year and a half.
And so you know the dates, more or less, of what you've got scheduled now, or
I do, but that can also change. Someone can book
is
within
it
a
every
month.
weekend? You're busy every weekend, I mean.
It's ever changing. That's what I'm trying to say. The weekend dates I can tell you for the next year and a half or so. But that doesn't mean that something can
I got you.
come in. And, saying that hopefully that's what will work around, that if my entrance is blocked and there's a construction crew out there, there's nothing I can do about it. Unless it's concrete that, no, this isn't gonna happen, I used to be a teacher and, I can point and snap my fingers, but I don't think I can make that happen. And that's my issue.
I think Mr. Owen made a motion to take under advisement, which is same as to table, I imagine. Or I'd like to second that motion.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Okay, the motion is to go ahead and table.
Yeah, just to go ahead and hopefully that'll give these two parties an opportunity to, I think you need to satisfy her needs, whatever that may be, as far as scheduling of contractors. I don't know how you have bid that out, if that is included in the bid, because there might be a time when they may have to pay from midnight till 3. I don't know, but I'm just saying that you guys need to work that out. She needs to be satisfied that the fact that she's not going to be blocked. I think that's the issue, and if that's the issue, if that can be addressed, I think it's good. But until that point, Because we just seen this today, so.
No, I understand that.
And I'd even like to go a step farther and see an overview of the project and what the end goal is, what this is going to bring about. You know, I know where we're talking about, but I can't really visualize what you're doing.
Happy to show you.
Appreciate it.
Will this project, with us tabling, how much will this will slow you up? I mean, can you start on your side?
We'll be starting, yeah, we're working. So
So by tabling, it's not going to slow you up.
when's the next meeting?
So, I mean, you're
2
the,
weeks.
but we're the last leg of the project, right? You're starting west and coming east, so we're the last leg.
I'd prefer to have that shored up, sooner than later.
Okay, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, it's tabled. Thank you, Ty.
This document references an exhibit, and I don't see one. Maybe it just didn't.
Yeah, I'll make sure that
Okay.
that gets in there. Not quite sure. Yes, certainly.
You want to make sure that if you, the council, do you have a card that they can get with you? Maybe they can meet with you and go over the
Yep.
project with you. Okay.
Thanks.
And then the next meeting is
Thank you.
September 21st.
I'll move on to, I think Shane is going to be handling this, Mr. Corbin, and there will be a public hearing. This is the Plan Commission recommendation to Jeffersonville Common Council to amend portions of the Jeffersonville zoning ordinance, 2000 OR 1.
Good evening. Just a second to get set up.
Sorry.
Change the code.
All right. Thanks for having us. This is a project that I've been working on with staff as well as multiple stakeholders for well over a year. That the project initiated with the River Ridge Gateway Master Plan that was completed some time ago. Included a large group of stakeholders, everyone from state representatives down to local elected officials and landowners as stakeholders. But essentially, what we're proposing tonight is to add 2 new zoning classifications that don't currently exist into our zoning code. And again, it was started, the process was started to address the needs out on the new East End Gateway, which is also the gateway to the state. The piece of property that we're talking about is right on the edge of River Ridge. This will be the first entrance into the state of Indiana, as well as Jeffersonville and River Ridge. It's the location where the heavy haul road intersects with the new interchange off the bridge, as well as rail. And we have a large parcel of property there owned by one property owner that currently in our comprehensive plan, this area is designated as a traditional marketplace. However, it is currently zoned low-density residential. Ideally, this will build out as commercial development over time. There's going to be a lot of pressure from the market. It's going to be a natural place where you're going to want to put shops and stores and all kinds of different things. So we began to look at what our comprehensive plan had already called out for this area to be and what our current zoning is that we have on the books to help achieve that vision. We realized that we really needed to come up with something new that both would achieve that vision but be flexible enough to react to the market. Here's our future land use map showing a variety of different gateways, but basically in our comprehensive plan it says our gateways should be mixed-use development. And there's the area in question highlighted in red. Here's a portion of the plan, the 600-acre master plan that was completed by River Ridge. Again, this was a large stakeholder group that came together, and this portion of the 600-acre plan is proposed to be a town center. So basically we're talking about an area that's compact, mix of uses. You can have residential above commercial, very similar to what we currently have in our downtown. But what we did here is we expanded that out to also accommodate some gas stations, drive-throughs, and big boxes, because we know they're going to want to come out there. And I'll get into how the mechanics of that could work. Again, here's the large parcel in question. There's an aerial, what it would look like, or the area. And in summary, I won't go through all of it, but basically the traditional marketplace or compact development, mixture of uses, oversized sidewalks, walkable, pedestrian-oriented. Again, here's another image of where that would be. And so what we're proposing tonight are two companion zoning classifications. One would be the traditional marketplace 1, that would accommodate the mixture of uses, the tight walkability, and the traditional marketplace 2, which would be the larger big boxes. And they would sit back off of the traditional marketplace 1, and between the two there would be a shared parking strategy. So that way there wouldn't be a lot of excess parking. You're making very efficient use of space, also making it easier to develop. There's an image, an ideal image of small town USA. One of the things that we did that we think's pretty unique about this is we took all of our zoning classifications, our commercial ones, we pulled all the highest and best uses out of them, pulled out some of the ones that we know people don't like, some of the auto-related stuff. We pulled those out, and so we put those into the traditional marketplace 1. So it gives you a wide variety. As a property owner, this would be an ideal zoning classification that you'd want to get into because it expands your range of things that you can do. At the same time, we reduced some of our restrictions, such as minimum lot size, again, shared parking, landscaping. Hopefully this makes it much easier to develop. Right now in for instance, a C1, you need a minimum almost a half acre to put in any sort of shop, and that would consist of a lot of parking and landscaping. With the TM1, you could get down to a 5,000 square foot lot, building right on the property lines. You could share walls with adjacent buildings. And again, we've expanded the range of uses and pulled out some of the less desirable ones. Again, small setbacks, large sidewalks, outdoor seating, design elements, large windows, primary doors facing roadways with pedestrian connections. We don't mandate that there's a mix of uses, but we permit a mix of uses, preferably with parking lots in between buildings or in the back instead of in the front. And we created some design standards for blocks that we mimicked after downtown. This is a block between Court Avenue and Mulberry. And essentially you're looking at 400 feet by 200 feet wide. So we took existing designs that we already have in the community and we put that into the language of this code. So you can do any number of buildings within that block. Here's some massing graphics to sort of summarize what you could do. You could do one building that took up the entire block. You could break it up into 2 buildings, 4 buildings, or if you look here at the big graphic, you could break it up into any different mix of uses. So again, trying to make it really flexible for developers that want to come in. One building or 7 buildings. You can go down to a 25-foot wide lot. Here's an example of an existing building we have on 10th Street. Although it's out there kind of by itself, it would meet the design criteria that we have, but we would want more of those buildings near each other and compact, sharing parking. Here's an example of a building in the Highlands that would fit in. Here's an example of a drive-through that would fit in. It's got the parking on the side, and it's got a design element from the front facade that comes across, gives the illusion that the building is there, it hides the parking, and it puts patio seating out front, so you get that pedestrian environment that everyone is going for. Again, Walgreens, that would meet criteria. There's a building that some people are familiar with that would meet the criteria. It's a Chipotle, used to be an Arby's. They retrofitted it. This is in the Highlands corridor. There, the city required them to put a design element out front to, again, create that wall so you don't have a big gap. And then we get into the TM2, which is the companion for the big boxes, so we're still accommodating the big boxes.
I have a question. Sorry.
Yes.
Before you move on from TM1, you had the picture of the drive-through restaurant, but here that is listed as a special exception. So that would have to, is that correct?
That would be required to go through BZA.
So for a drive-through to be in that TM1, it would take
Still,
an extra step.
it would take an extra step, and we would want to make sure that it fits in.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
that's why we have it structured that way. And what I don't think we want to do is we don't want to set this up and then end up with a whole line of drive-throughs.
Right.
Even if we've got these design elements.
Right. Just making sure.
No problem. Let's see. So then we get into the TM2. All of the uses that are permitted in the TM1, plus we get into some bigger stuff. Drive-throughs are actually permitted use there. They wouldn't be on the main pedestrian corridor. And then we add in other drive-through uses, and it still has a 2-acre minimum, and that's consistent with what we have in our C2 currently. So the larger lots, larger square footage of the buildings, and the idea is that it shares the parking. If you think of when you go into, say, Myers any given day of the week and you pull in, you've got all that excess parking that's only full during holiday season. That's the parking that we want to share with the outlots. So we're telling the outlots, you can reduce your parking requirements if you have a shared agreement. And so now we don't have so much excess parking, and we're really making efficient use of that space. And so here's how that would work. You've got your anchor development in the rear, and then you've got your smaller shops and everything out in the front, and you share the parking in the middle. Here's an example of what we're talking about, how this could work. You'd have the smaller shops, boutique shops out here, defining the street face. Then you'd have anchor developments out on the back, and then you'd have shared parking strategy with pedestrian connections going through. And here's what we can't look into a crystal ball and say exactly who the users are, who's going to come in. We know there's a lot of interest already in these properties. I believe the real estate agents are already having conversations with folks. We have shared this information with the property owners, with the consultants for River Ridge, with property owners, engineer and designer. We've gone back and forth through this process internally. We've looked at communities from across the country and picked out little things that we think will work, that can achieve this, but still be flexible. We'd write it, we'd sit on it, we'd think on it for a while, we'd go back and revisit it, tweak it, put together a draft, and then send it out for comments, get it back, make changes. So we've spent a lot of time putting this together. And I would think that this could also be used in other areas as a toolkit when you have other areas of the city, specifically such as 10th Street in the future that may want to redevelop. We've got some more than a few buildings on 10th Street that probably over time will turn. This could be a tool if the property owners choose to use it. By passing this, there wouldn't be any properties that would automatically get blanketed with this zoning classification. Everything would have to come first through the Planning Commission and then to the City Council for approval before it could get approved.
I'd like to add that we did look at this in planning and zoning. We took some good time, and I think, Nathan, was it just you and I that met with Shane and we went through this? So you did an excellent job, you and your team. You really put a lot of thought and time into this. The only issues that we brought up in planning and zoning was with the TM2 under special exceptions, which means, it would have to go to BZA, but we had a lot of discussion because the filling in the gas stations are there and our concern was, and Ed can add to this, do we leave this in there, do we not leave this in there? And I know you put it in the special exception because I know one of my main concern was looking at 10th Street. We have no control over, like, we had a very successful BP here in our city, but a federal judge during bankruptcy decided that that was one that's going to be closed. But if you look around 10th Street, and we had a situation that we ended up having to go get a Brownsfield fund for the Allison Brook Park. The gas stations move in, and I'm sure in this area will be successful, but our concern, mainly my concern too, was if they move out, then we're stuck with a gas station with tanks in the ground that basically can't be used. And I didn't want another 10th Street scenario, which I think this area might be a little bit different than that, but that was one of the concerns. Ed, you might want to add.
No, I just agree with you that it's a high traffic, hard to redevelop property after it closes down. And so we just go back and forth and having that as a good use, a proper use, or a special exception.
And staff took a look at, we talked about bonding and a couple other scenarios of how we could address that. I had Nathan do some research on it, and there are federal guidelines that gas stations have to put up $1 million. That's coordinated through IDEM. So there is federal and state check now on gas stations if they have leaking tanks. I don't know that we would want to put any sort of bonding capacity in our zoning code. I think it would be too cumbersome for us.
I was glad it was at least in the special exceptions and not just a permitted use. That was one of the things that I was looking for too.
And the way this would work again, this would be the smaller shops here. It would not be permitted there. If this was an anchor development, then it would be a permitted use, or I'm sorry, a special exception use as an outlot connected to the box stores.
What was the vote on the board?
Unanimous?
Yeah, we sent it on in favor. That was one thing that we had concern. We thought we would leave it in here because at the board, that's how we addressed it. That was the best place to put it in special exception. But we thought, well, we'd address that when it came to council, whether to leave that in there or.
Scott, does this require 3 readings?
No, it's just one reading. It's public hearing.
Yeah.
What's your
I wanted to get our question.
You're just adding, we're amending the zoning code.
Okay, yeah, 3. Yeah, I thought you were doing a zone definition. Yeah, 3 readings, but this is a public hearing. So.
Yeah, and I don't know why usually, I mean, when I got this last week, it had, and I noticed it when I was putting the agenda together, that it had that on there, because usually y'all introduce it and then do the public hearing at the next meeting. You know, I don't know why it was done that way.
So it was advertised for tonight?
Mm-hmm, I believe so.
Yeah, I didn't know the advertisement.
Yeah.
As a public hearing?
Well, I mean, it's just on the agenda, it says public hearing, so I assume.
It was, but I'm just saying, what happened is, when after the meeting on there, what I'm saying is usually you have the public hearing is put out for the next, it's introduced.
Or the final approval.
Yeah.
I don't disagree, I don't.
So I'm just wondering, do you want to do it, Les did this, so do you want to do another public hearing again? I mean, this hasn't really had enough time for people to even.
Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be re-advertised.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen it.
I know.
I don't know how it's advertised.
It's on the very back. Oh, that's all I've seen is what's on the very back page.
Public hearing.
I didn't even open a public
Oh,
hearing
I
yet.
thought you did.
No, but I mean, what she's getting at is that typically with these this is not just changing the zoning, this is amending the code, so it does have to have 3 readings. Normally your public hearing, you introduce it, you do a public hearing for final, approving it whether on the 3rd reading or final reading. So this is a public hearing. Usually you have 3 readings, I approve it tonight, but you unanimously waive the suspend rules and do it all in 1 reading.
I think what I'm hearing is we want to schedule another public hearing for the next council meeting.
Normally what we do when we make something like that, we introduce it and schedule a public reading for the final approval.
So that there's time for public review.
Okay.
So,
But we can still go ahead and have the.
yeah, I would like to go ahead though. And,
They pass it on the first reading, and then someone's got to take care of the advertising. I guess someone who does that.
That's Les.
That's less, because I don't know.
So is it okay, because I'd like to go ahead and open up in case somebody with the advertisements here, but I don't-
But I would just say, at least 2 months tonight.
So at this time, I'm going to officially open up a public hearing. Is there anybody that wishes to speak for or against this? You want to come up and state your name and address for the record? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to officially close public hearing.
Motion to approve 2015 OR 48 on the first reading.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2015 OR, what was it? 48. 48. On the first reading. Any further questions or concerns or comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Shane. Next up, we have Chief Kavanaugh for training request.
Do all these at once.
Chief, since you have several on here, we'll go ahead and let you just speak on all of them, and we'll just approve all of them at one time, so. I think we're having technical difficulties, so.
Thank you. I have approximately 7 trainings. I wanted to note that out of the 7 trainings, 2 of them are free. We're just paying the expense on officers to travel there to the location to attend. The first is going to be a training that's going to occur at the Police Academy with Major Lynch. The training coordinator is going to be attending in the month of November. The second is going to be a training that's already actually occurred. It's 2 new detectives that have attended that training that's occurred in Clarksville. That costs us approximately $790. The next is a training, number 3, that is going to be an advanced roadside interview techniques for patrol officers. Approximately 4 officers will be attending. It will be here locally in Clarksville Police Department, where it's going to take place in the city of Clarksville. Approximately $1,000. The next is going to be a training that is going to involve use of force and understanding and comprehension of use of force. It's going to be approximately 6 officers that is going to attend that training, and that is going to occur in October. The cost on that is $725, and we do have a free registration free with the number of officers that is attending. The next is going to be a training to recertify an officer. This is going to be the actual new officer that we hired. He came to the Jeffersonville Police Department with some certifications, and he's about to come up on laps on an instructor certification in stops. We have 2 officers currently that are certified in this, so we're going to recertify Officer Brody that came from Sellersburg, and this will allow him to add a 3rd officer to our agency. They'll be certified in this type of training. The cost on that is $275, and also there is a travel expense of $400 on that training. The next is going to be an officer survival during traffic stops. It's going to occur, and there's approximately 6 officers that is going to attend that training. That is going to occur in November. The cost is that on that training is approximately $1,000. The next training is going to be a investigator or read associated interview and techniques training that's going to occur in Jeffersonville Police Department. We're going to host a training, and the cost on that is $1,100. All of the trainings that I have mentioned are budgeted and within our means to pay and afford that training.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second.
Excuse me, you had one more that was given to me later.
Okay, yes.
Basic squat.
It is, and I'm sorry. This is a free training. The officers are going to be attending for a basic SWAT school. This training, the only cost we have is going to be a lodging, approximately $280 that's going to be on there. We are expanding our canine program, and with this, we are actually pursuing a bomb detection dog, and we're starting the process for Corporal Rick Ashenbrenner starting to integrate with the SWAT team. The training, the cost on this is $280. This will be the final training.
Motion to approve all as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve all the trainings as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Trainings are approved.
Thank you.
We had a discussion on Steamboat Day overtime.
Yes, I attended the finance meeting, going to be August the 13th, and at that point in time, there was a discussion with the $60,000 that was transferred out of the overtime to support the expense with that was coming in with the police department with some utilities there. And right now, we're bringing that $60,000 back. In that finance meeting that we outlined, there was approximately $24,000 that was various overtime that was actually coming back within the police department through Housing Authority, through FBI, and through Greater Clark County Schools. We had coming back as well. I did want to update you with the steamboat and also the river stage function this past weekend. That cost of the overtime was approximately $11,000 starting from Thursday to Sunday. And update you that information. I did say at the finance meeting I would bring that back to the council just for notification.
Kenny, on the Steamboat Days, you did an excellent job with coordinating all of the efforts down there, especially your bike patrol, and I need to for you to commend them because it was brought to my attention that during their patrol, they actually stopped a burglary in progress. The guys were on their bikes and they noticed things being carried out of a home, and that's a job well done there, sir. So
Yes, and that was
pass
occurring.
on to your
Thank you.
bike patrol.
Thank you. That occurred during the actual physical concert that was taking place down on the river stage. The officers did ride up, and on their bikes, they actually caught the gentleman actually burglarizing the home and coming out with the property. So thank you. We appreciate
I guess
that.
they thought they were distracted, but wrong.
No, they were out and they were moving
We're
around.
there.
So just wanted to point out that the bikes are effective and they're a positive tool and measure for us to utilize here within the city of Jeffersonville. That will conclude me. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, we've got Amy Deering. We have an ordinance transferring certain funds within the same department.
I don't know if anybody else had the same issue, but mine, this
They're all
was
stapled
stapled
together.
to the back of the chief's paperwork, so
I had quite a few things that were
they
all
look at that.
Well, we apologize. We tried our new copier
Enjoy.
out. This time we got to use it. We were excited. We got a little carried away.
It's all right.
That's all right. It's all good.
Next time we'll do better.
The transfer request came through from the building authority, and this is already within their budget. They just needed to move $5,000 from their 300 series to their 200 series for some supplies.
Motion to approve 2015 OR 49 on the first and second.
Second.
Got a motion, a second, to pass 2015 OR 49 on the first and second. Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. I think, Amy, you are up again for an ordinance for additional appropriation, and we'll have a public hearing on September 21st, 2015.
Yes, I believe all of these items were heard at the last Finance Committee meeting. I'll go through each of them so you know what they are. The top item was just a request to appropriate a grant that we received for public arts. I believe it was from the Indiana Arts Council for tree carving. The second item was what Kenny just touched on with the overtime. It's $85,000, and that's actually within the budget. It's just moving from the council to the police. So that is really not additional. It's an additional by reduction. And the rest of the items are just to appropriate for the ice rink this fall. The total on those is $115,100 if you add them all up.
Motion to approve 2015 OR 50 on the first and second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2015 OR 50 on the first and second. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have our city council attorney report tonight? Do we have any department heads? Penny? Good. And we only had Kai under the public comment, so I let her speak during that agenda item. So we moved to council comments. So, Councilperson Smith. Councilperson Ed.
I just want to give my thoughts on the budget meeting, or the special meeting we had before the city council meeting, just to kind of pull it all together. From my understanding of that meeting, I think what I heard was the city council is committed to doing the 10th Street expansion. We have already approved the right-of-way, and after the right-of-way is done, the utilities can go ahead and move. And the maximum way to get KIPTA funding or any kind of matching funding is to break it into phases. So I just want to, that's my understanding. If anyone hears anything different, please speak up. But with that being the case, I think we're going to have to work with Andy and redevelopment, Andy Croucher, engineer and redevelopment, on breaking down that project. In my opinion, breaking it down to phases to try to maximize our grant funding. That's all. Thanks.
Councilperson Wadsworth?
Nothing.
Councilperson Webb?
I have nothing.
Councilperson Julius?
I agree with you, Ed. I think that's what we've been trying to do all along, and being transparent in what we're trying to do is a big deal. And I'd like to, I don't know whether Nathan said it or whatever, but we lost a good guy today in Ted Throckmorton, and he was a member of our Parks Board for I don't know how many years, but a long time. And he'll be missed in Jeffersonville. He really will. That's it.
Councilperson Owen?
I wanted to apologize for my tardiness. I had to be in court at 6 o'clock and it ran a little long. So I apologize for my tardiness. I wanted to commend everyone who had a hand in Steamboat Days last weekend. It was a good event. It was a very warm event. Moved it from October this year to September because it was cold in October, and it's definitely not cold in September. So I think it was a good time, and everybody who worked on that, from the committee to the city employees to it just went over really well, and I enjoyed myself. So that's all I had.
Councilperson
I too would like to comment on the workshop, as Ed did. We had two main topics, or two topics. One was the 10th Street widening, which has been kind of a hot potato from one standpoint, on a blame back and forth like we were slowing things up. But I thought it was very good because we had representative from KIPTA, had representative from NDOT, and had a representative from Duke. They all were in agreement, and they gave us great information and let us know that we're right on target, and we're not slowing anything down. We made some suggestions or recommendations that, as Ed mentioned. I thought it was very interesting that we were being pushed a little bit at an earlier meeting that said that we needed to go ahead and approve this entire project because of the utility companies wouldn't move forward without that approval. And the utility company was here tonight and said, that's not true. And so that was reassuring to be able to hear it from those guys, and I'm looking forward to moving the project forward. The second item at the workshop was conversation and a report on the homeless task force. That was, I thought, a very good report. I think we have some positive momentum and some ideas to move forward. But those were two issues that were key that are big items in our community, and so it was a good workshop. So I'm glad we had that workshop. And the third comment, that I'd make is, Matt asked about my reasoning for the ordinance. Is in the ordinance there's a number of whereases that do kind of give direction in your thought process on why are you making this decision or making these moves. And if you go back and read the whereases, it talks about the state of Indiana is encouraging this, talks about the need for the maintenance of the public art and things. So I thought it was important to go ahead and at least list our intent, and that's kind of what that did. And nothing other than that, other than why I just wanted to stick those in there. So I didn't comment about that earlier, but I thought I would, and that's all I have.
I know I'm not a council member, but I'd like to say one thing is I want to thank the Steamboat Committee. Mr. Tom Horn, who is 103 and a half years of age, was the living legend in the parade, and it really thrilled him to no end that he was part of that parade. And when you think of somebody who's 103 and a half, who's lived through so much, different wars, Model T Fords, you just go down the list, who is still driving, who is still very much with it. I think it's something that is really neat for our community, because how many communities have a 130 and a half year old gentleman? So maybe someday we can get him to come into the council meeting and you all can meet him, and because he really enjoyed it.
I just wanted to add kind of the ones that brought up about the workshop earlier. It was very informative, but I wanted to add to it because, we were on the utility piece. I thought it was very interesting that we learned that we can't even until May 2016, what they call to be utility clear, where all the right-of-way is finished and set to go for the utilities. So that's not even until May of 2016. So, we really learned a lot of valuable information. And then also with the homeless coalition, we need to get our thoughts around that, because I'm going to ask if, see where you are. I know Nathan and I, when we met with them and then at the workshop, that I wanted to reiterate, because Matt wasn't present for that it is our recommendation. I talked with Amy and Heather to kind of give them the feel where we were going, that if we do support this, it does come out of gaming. We thought that would be a good place too, that it's not it's not tied to the general fund. It's not tied, as we know how our budget's getting more and more constrained, especially our general fund with our 100 series seems to be growing. So we just thought that was a very good fit. So we had told them, and I think at the end of the workshop, I don't know if anybody had heard that, to ask Vicki to put that on the next council meeting, if that's so. I need to get your all's opinions on that, or what. So, and then also, I thought Ed would bring that we need to schedule a parks budget workshop. We didn't get to that because we had a very long meeting the other night, and I think by the end of that we were all ready to bring our eyes forward cross-eyed. So, Ed, I'm going to turn it back to you to see. I know you travel, but I would like to, because we need to, while we got Scott here, to know when to advertise.
There's an art commission meeting, so I will not be able to be at, but
When do we have to approve that by? We still have time.
It's got to be next week.
I was thinking next week, Monday the 14th.
What time is your meeting?
I got a county council.
What time's your meeting?
5:30.
Well, how long does it last?
Hour and a half, 2 hours. Long time sometimes.
We do a lot of work.
That's still enough time to get everything done, right? No?
We have to get all the numbers together for your hearing on
Okay. So let's just next week, Monday, okay?
Yeah, I've got a 7 o'clock, so what time are you thinking you want to do it?
That's what I was going to do, 7 o'clock. Do it at 6 o'clock?
Will you all be able to, I won't be able to. Will you all be able to?
I have a
She's
meeting.
got a meeting that night. Yeah,
Police Merit Board's meeting Monday.
that's okay.
Okay, well,
I know.
everyone else?
Ours is 6,
What's at 6?
our Police Merit Board.
that. Will you be done by 7?
At point, be done by 7.
It's not a requirement that the minutes are kept, are they?
So
For budget?
You all meet in this room?
Mm-hmm.
Or if y'all need to do that, I
We
can
don't-
ask them to move upstairs. I'll have to get,
Yeah, they'll have to meet in
it'll
this
have to be
room.
publicized because we're moving the meeting.
Could we have our work, could we have our,
Yeah, just move to the room location. That doesn't have, it has to be published, but advertised, not published in the paper.
Yeah.
would it
Okay,
be,
next week, Monday, 7 o'clock.
I probably won't be here.
That's in this room. You want me to advertise in this room? Yes. I'll have it, but I won't be here. Anyone else can't make it?
I mean, I may be late, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Can't make it. You can do it.
We need to at least get, me 5.
I'll be here.
You there, you there? You there, Mike? All right, we'll go next week. Next week, Monday, at 7 o'clock. Or the workshop.
Tony will be there.
well, yeah, to go over the budget, Scott?
Thank
if we
you.
didn't get a
Thank you,
chance
guys.
to.
You said Parks Department. So council, I thought you said council approved the budget for the parks. Okay, so it's council. Council budget workshop.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I thought you said Parks and
Okay.
7 o'clock.
And also too, if anybody did attend the Steamboat Days, we're going to have, not this next week, but the following week, we're going to have another wrap up. If you had any suggestions or you saw something that you liked or didn't like, if you could email me that or text me or whatever so I can take those to the committee. And then I wanted to see your thoughts. We had the permission to do it last year, but the committee, they put, which I've been a part of since the beginning, we put a lot of time. We met weekly the last, probably a few months out from the Steamboat Day. We met monthly, then we did monthly for several months, and then we went to bi-monthly, and then we were every week. And I wanted to see if it was okay with you all if we provided lunch for them at that meeting, just as a thank you for their time there. And a lot of them, they took their lunch hour, and all those meetings, they didn't have lunch because we had to have it during their lunch time. So,
I support it.
I would.
Yeah, they put their time in.
okay, I really appreciate that. And then, like I said, just thank you guys for your efforts at Steamboat Days. And I know, let's see, we got a member of SWAT. We got two. I think you're not an officer anymore. What is your rank?
He's
Captain Moreland. And I know SWAT's been called out quite a few. I was actually left a budget hearing and come around, and there you were. So thank you guys. Appreciate you. So I have a motion to adjourn.
So